Guys, so welcome back to the channel. Listen, I'm gonna share with you again. Of course, you all know that Joe Biden, Senator Joe Biden, Vice President Joe Biden, and Senator Bernie Sanders had a debate last night, and there's a lot of highlights. But what I'm doing is trying to back up everything I'm gonna say to you, because at the end of the day, there are people out there that doing these research, but the information doesn't flow to everybody. And my goal is to make sure that the information flows across the board, right? We know that, of course, President Trump is going to have a second term if Joe Biden goes up against him. Definitely, because Joe Biden is not, electable, but the Democratic, establishment for some reason think that he is. But Joe Biden is going to be swiped out completely, and I want you guys to quote me on this one. November is coming, but let's listen, because we have to hold people accountable for the facts or the truths that they tell. If they lie, they lie. We have to hold them accountable. This lady here is Crystal Ball, very intelligent, very articulate in her views. She's with the Rising, just so you know, with Saga, the other guy. They have very brilliant, takes on the issues on a day-to-day basis. So I'm just going to share with you, a highlights from, the debate last night on how Joe Biden told a lot of lies, because Bernie Sanders was actually trying to point out all these lies that Joe Biden told. So I just want you guys to see this for yourself.
Most notably, of course, Biden once again lied about his record on Social Security. Let's watch.
And I want you just to be straight with the American people. I am saying that you have been on the floor of the Senate time and time again talking about the need to cut Social Security, Medicare, and veterans programs. Is that true, or is that
no?
Not
it's
true?
Not true.
Well, great friend of the show.
All right, so let's see what the truth is, because facts are facts. Joe Biden, whilst he was in Congress, has always talked about cutting Social Security and all that stuff. So for the black folks out there that are wallowing, because what Joe Biden is doing is coasting on the Obama legacy. He's just coasting on that, just having a smooth ride all the way through. But people have to pay attention. So listen to this.
Brian Grimm wrote the definitive piece on this and documented how over decades Joe Biden has repeatedly sought cuts to Social Security. We can also, as Senator Sanders suggested last night, go to the YouTube and see Joe in his own words.
When I introduced the budget freeze years ago, the liberals in my party said, "It's an awful thing you're doing, Joe. You are all the programs we care about. You're freezing them. Money for the blind, the disabled, education, and so on." And my argument then is the one I make now, which is the strongest, most compelling reason to be for this amendment or an amendment. And that is that if we don't do that, all the things I care most about are going to be gone. I mean, whatever happened to that old conservative discipline about paying for what you spend? I'm up for re-election this year, and I'm going to remind everybody what I did at home, which is going to cost me politically. When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well.
There you have it. There you have it. That's what he was saying. So thank God for people like Bernie Sanders, because, first of all, I don't even have anyone who's getting Social Security in this country, but I'm sure there are black folks out there that worked all their lives, and now they should be getting the Social Security. If it wasn't for Senator Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden would have cut your Social Security. Listen to this. He's saying he wanted to do it. Yes.
No, I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government.
That's exactly what he meant. That's exactly what he meant.
But there was so much more on that bad bankruptcy bill that Joe now swears he barely had anything to do with, and he certainly didn't help write. Here is Republican Senator Orrin Hatch thanking Biden for helping to write the bill.
Senators Biden and Carper have worked tirelessly for years on this legislation, and they've taken some tough votes to get it done, and I admire them for it. You would expect senators from Delaware, which is the corporate state, to do their best to get this bill through, but they did.
There you go. On abortion, Joe claimed to be a longtime pro-choice champion. Well, here is a press release from Joe, literally bragging about being one of the Senate's most conservative Democrats because of his stance on the terrible balanced budget amendment, which would have, again, forced Social Security cuts, but also bragging about his support of anti-choice legislation. On the rather significant issue of the Iraq War, Biden continued his embarrassing parade of lies. He still insists that he thought by voting for the war, he was somehow voting against the war.
they were in fact producing nuclear weapons or weapons of mass destruction. They were not. And what's the first thing that happened when we got elected? The President Obama turned to me and said, get those troops out of there. I was responsible for getting 150,000 combat troops out of Iraq. I admitted 14 years ago was a mistake to have trusted him. And I'm prepared to compare my foreign policy credentials up against my friend here on any day of the week and every day of the week.
Let's start off.
He also continues to lie about how quickly he turned on that war. Well, after the war began, he continued to stand by his vote, as you can also easily verify by going to the YouTube. On issue after issue, rather than owning up to what has been a lifelong record of atrocious judgment, Biden chose instead to shade, embellish, and flat out lie. He claimed he was responsible for the Paris Climate Accord. He was not. Remember when he took credit for the CFPB with Elizabeth Warren literally standing right there? He said he supports ending all new fracking. He does not. He claimed to have long supported the $15 minimum wage. The evidence, highly questionable. There were so many moments that did Biden started trending on Twitter, followed by lying Biden. The long list I've just detailed isn't even close to complete. The whole thing honestly just makes me sad. Democrats have put Biden in a position to win the nomination because they believe that nothing but beating Trump matters, and they believe Biden is most likely to defeat him. They buy into Biden's pitch that he will restore the soul of the nation. They threw all in for him during a remarkable span of a very short period in which the entire Democratic establishment and media lined up behind him without having ever subjected him to a real period of sustained scrutiny on his record, his plans, or his pattern of lies.
Absolutely.
The Sanders team pulled their punches, and they didn't get the job done either. And so now here we stand with voters just starting to be reminded of some of these issues which are in fact massive liabilities in a matchup against Trump, issues which the right-wing media and Trump will not hesitate to use. You can go ahead and follow the Trump War Room or RNC Twitter accounts to see how it's being done already. And so once again, the media has lied to the American people about something of vital importance. Which candidate is actually up to the job of beating Donald Trump? But that's not even the worst part. We are in a crisis at the moment, and one of the greatest failings of this administration has in fact been that they've lied to the American people repeatedly. We can't look to this president for accurate information about tests or guidance or economic reality. That lack of trust feeds fear on one hand and is actively destructive to public health on the other. New polling shows that now even our response to coronavirus has become a partisan issue, with Republicans taking their cues from conservative media, which has mostly taken their cues from Trump, saying, oh, this is all a fake Democratic.
Well, guys, on and on and on. So like I said, Crystal Ball, very intelligent. You guys could find out on YouTube, The Rising, listen to her takes. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, the Democrats want to win an election in America. But, Joe Biden is not the man who's going to beat Trump. And we're just going in for a defeat. So, we just have to point out these issues, guys. We have to point out these issues for folks to be very cognitive of the fact that, this is a lost battle. Joe Biden up against Trump, it's another disaster. The Republicans, Donald Trump is going to win. Bernie Sanders is the man. So it's not late yet. It's not yet late. I know people are saying, oh, just go vote anyhow. But no, it's not late. We can do this, guys. So just vote wisely, okay? All right, I'll leave it right here.